mean, you're happy Trump got elected, right? You said that in your CJ conversation.
No, I'm not
Is
happy.
that you
I'm happier
said,
that Trump won over Kamala.
okay, we can play the semantics game. You're happy that Trump won, right?
That's a very different thing. No, I'm
You're
not happy that Trump
Kamala
won.
lost. Okay,
No.
you're not happy with Trump.
I'm not happy with Trump. No.
Okay.
I'm happier
Who is
that
your
Trump
ideal
won.
candidate?
Bernie Sanders, probably. I
Really?
would have voted for Bernie Sanders over Trump in a heartbeat. I voted for Jill Stein.
Well, Jill Stein is like not a serious human being. She goes into a
I
hole
agree.
for 4
She
years,
had
comes
no
out,
chance
and
to
then-
win. I was trying to send a message. But I
So
would absolutely vote for Bernie Sanders
Okay. Why?
because I think his economic policies align more with me.
Okay.
I think he has the right attitude on the Israel-Palestine issue, which is an important issue right now.
Okay.
Those are two big ones.
Okay. Why vote for Trump over Kamala if your economic positions align with Bernie Sanders? Or why be happier that Trump won over Kamala if your
Because I
economic
think he's
positions-
more likely to deploy the military to the border, which is probably the most pressing issue.
Okay, so you're.
Would you like to know why I think the border is the pressing issue?
Sanders. No, we can get into that, but because
Okay.
Bernie Sanders, you would vote for because of his econ policies, and Kamala Harris would, in my opinion, maybe you don't agree, would put us closer to that. Obviously, not close enough for what I would want, but closer. But you
No,
would
I don't
vote for
think
Trump
so.
because
I
the
think
border
Kamala
is
Harris-
more important.
I-
That wasn't me being like, oh,
Sure.
this is ridiculous. I mean, I do think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
silly,
No,
but
no.
like, is that
I
your
love
position?
Bernie
Is
Sanders.
that
No.
immigration is more important than the econ?
I think Kamala would be as much of a tool of corporate interests as any other politician, and Trump.
You think Obama is a tool of corporate interests?
I think Obama was a continuation of the Bill Clinton sort of neoliberal economic status quo, which I disagree with.
He got us closer to a universal healthcare system than, say, any right-wing politician, right?
Yeah, sure, that was good. Obamacare was probably good overall. I don't know much about healthcare.
But then that's what I'm saying. You don't think like a Kamala or a Joe Biden would be pushing us in a more left-wing healthcare position to what you would want
I
with
don't.
a Bernie thing?
I think pharmaceutical interests are pretty well entrenched, which is why the DNC kneecapped Bernie multiple times.
No, I'm not saying that obviously they have the exact same policies. I'm saying obviously one of these parties is going to be pushing us a certain way. This is what I mean when I'm like, why would you be a centrist? If you align so clearly with a Bernie Sanders on this very clear progressive left policy,
Yeah.
why even
Because
entertain the idea?
I'm not super progressive, and I disagree with Bernie on a lot of stuff.
If you would vote for Bernie as your ideal politician, obviously not the best, but the best out of all of your options.
The ideal, like of the most realistic ones. What do you mean?
Okay,
My
well, here we
ideal?
go.
My ideal would
Who
be
would you
my
vote
ideal.
for if it was your ideal? Okay, obviously
that's a good question.
right? Because they would agree with everything.
I was okay. I'm thinking of the actual potential people that could have
Right, and that's
been
what I'm
elected.
saying too.
What's my
Right,
ideal?
like for the viable candidates?
I don't know.
Bernie Sanders has progressive healthcare policy. You agree with this? This is why
Yep.
he would be the most ideal out of the viable options, and yet is immigration then obviously a more important policy to you? So why even bring up Bernie Sanders? Like if Trump,
I think
you
Bernie would have
vote
done a
for
good job on the
Trump.
border too. He's explicitly stated open borders as a Koch brothers idea, which it is.
Okay, but Kamala Harris isn't for open borders.
I think Kamala Harris is much worse on borders than Bernie Sanders, but Trump, which is more relevant here.
Do you think Bernie Sanders would be stricter on immigration than Kamala Harris?
Yeah,
And
I think so, because he recognizes that because he's pro working class. If you have a lot of immigrant labor that's coming here as economic refugees that competes with working class.
No, I know he recognizes
wages.
that. He talked about that in the H-1B stuff, but what would he policy-wise do
I don't
to
know.
secure the border more strictly?
I don't know.
This is what I'm saying. Like,
It's a
if
vibe
you
thing.
agree... Okay. If Trump's immigration policy is clearly what you support more, why say that Bernie would be your ideal candidate if you seem to be more focused on the border and Trump has your border policy?
Because I think Bernie would also be able to secure the border just like Trump might, and he might not. We might be fucked no matter who's president, and be lied to no matter who's president. We're all at the whim of billionaires no matter what, it seems like. So maybe none of it matters. I don't know. But if I'm going to bet, I'd prefer Bernie over Trump, and I would have voted Bernie over Trump. But if it's Trump versus Kamala, then I guess I'm fucked, and I'll go with Trump. Actually, I voted for Joe Biden once again. But I'll say
Jill Stein, yeah, right in Texas.
Yeah.
You said, yeah. Did you
Yes,
drive? It was.
I drove 10 minutes and paid $10 to park to cast my vote for Jill Stein, because I wanted to send a message that I think what America is doing in Palestine is disgusting, which it is.
Okay.
And I think what
How do you
Trump
feel
is
about
doing is
the Trump
beyond
stuff?
disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, obviously, like I think you've said you disagree heavily with his whole like let's invade Gaza and turn it into my real estate.
Yeah, that's
strip,
an
right?
understatement.
So,
I did disagree heavily with that. But
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
centrist, so
super.
maybe I should support him because I'm really right wing and I just agree with whatever Trump says.
well,
Oh, wait.
well, yeah, but again, but you're still preferring him over Kamala, who wouldn't do that. So I'm a little confused as to why.
I have no idea what Kamala would do, given that Kamala and Biden did abso-fucking-lutely nothing. There's no reason to believe.
You think Kamala would invade?
How do we know? How do we
push them all
prove
out?
it? It's a counterfactual or unfalsifiable?
You think it's unfalsifiable to say, well, just because Trump did this radical thing, I don't know that Kamala wouldn't have done this incredibly radical thing that everyone, even including his own administration,
I'm not saying that Kamala would have done the exact same thing. I'm saying Kamala would have done exactly the same amount of nothing to stop Israel from doing what it's doing.
Nothing. One is full deep-throated support of Netanyahu,
Okay,
and the
I don't know
other
what
is bullshit.
okay.
Like oh well, here's my red line. Like I'm not saying that what she did was playing hardball. It clearly wasn't. But like
Yeah,
these
she
are
let
very obviously different
Netanyahu
policies.
do whatever the fuck he wanted. Well, Biden did because she wasn't in charge, but
Well,
she would have.
do you
I have
think
no reason to believe that
Netanyahu
she would
wants
have
to
done anything
kick
differently.
every Palestinian out because she's not. I don't.
Yeah,
know if
I
she'll
do.
let
I
him
think
do
he
that.
wants. I think
and
he'd be.
Trump is saying not only
Just to
am
be
I going to
clear,
let
just to
you
be
do
clear,
it,
just to be
I'm
clear, I
going to
think
do it and help
for
you
the
do it.
record, I think Netanyahu is far worse than Stephen Wolf. I hope that's not controversial here.
That's probably true, honestly. Yeah.
Right.
No. Hey,
So,
I like that. Thank you.
and if I had the
for
opportunity
pointing that out.
to talk to Benjamin Netanyahu, I think I would.
But
Actually, no, I
would
wouldn't. I'd be
assume-
assassinated immediately. So no, it'd be terrible.
You don't think you'd push back on him?
Okay,
heavily,
we
though,
seem
right?
to agree
Right?
far more than you let on at the beginning.
No, we super don't. I think.
Okay, what do
the
we?
One
What
thing that we've
I have yet
agreed
to hear
on
what we
is that,
actually disagree about substantially.
your entire ideology, first of all. But we
Okay,
we
like
don't
I
have to
said,
walk in
I have yet
circles
to
about
hear
that.
what specifically. It sounds like we agree that you shouldn't isolate people who
hold
are
on.
racist.
Let me be very clear. Your
Okay.
idea is my ideal ranking for border policy is Trump, then Bernie, and then Kamala, as if like Bernie would not.
I don't
be,
even know. First off, I don't know what Bernie never had to articulate his border policy because they've got fucking kneecapped. So thank you, Democrats. Thank you, Soy Pill, for shilling one-sided vote blue no matter who. Because don't be a centrist. So thank you for that, for taking out Bernie. If Bernie had articulated his border policy, I would have been able to look at it. I don't know.
Bernie
And
has articulated border policy before. I don't know it off the top of my head, but he's absolutely talked about it.
He's talked about what?
Bernie Sanders has absolutely talked about what we should do at the border. I guarantee it.
Yes, and okay, yes, and what I've heard, although I don't know what his specific he didn't have a bullet point policies down because he didn't need one because he wasn't running.
Right.
He's
he
against
didn't have
open
to- well,
borders.
he
No,
would
I'm
talk
against
about it when someone
deportation.
asked
I'm
him.
against Trump's deportations. I think
Really?
that's stupid. Yeah.
But you're against birthright citizenship. But you're against the deportations.
Okay, first off, those are two completely different things. So let's stick with one thing first.
But they're pretty ideologically aligned.
Let's
but
stick
okay,
with one
let's-
thing first. The
go through each
deportations.
one,
I'm
yeah.
against the deportations.
Okay, why?
I think they're inhumane. What are you going to just knock down some grandma's door? You're going to cause all kinds of civil rights violations. I think it makes much more sense to say, if you've made it here so far, okay, well, that's kind of fucked that you broke our laws, but fine. We're going to deploy the military to the border, and we're basically putting a moratorium for like a year on immigrant. No, not a single other person crosses the border.
Okay, and then
And then
with
we-
the process the people that are in the country.
Yes, and then we say,
amnesty
okay,
or
there's a
some
whole,
sort of thing.
there's a ton of people. We need to give them, and I'm even like, this could be a decades. It wouldn't be a moratorium for decades, but it would be severely restricted for decades, which we've done historically. We say, let's give everyone here time to assimilate, and also figure out if there's any fucking terrorists like over the border. Because my main fucking problem is the fact that we have an open border is probably the single biggest national security risk we face.